Now, as a very handsome redhead, I have to spend a lot of time in the sun because I do a lot of pond jobs. But this job is a dream because it's completely covered. The other thing about a pond too is the worst thing you can do with a pond is have it straight underneath a residual tree. So something like this roof is absolutely wonderful for your fish pond. It will massively reduce the amount of direct sunlight, therefore reduce the amount of algae you'll get. And for any of your red-headed guests, we're better off staying under a roof because I'm one of those people. I don't get sunburn at the beach. I get sunburnt going to the beach. By the time I'm at the beach, I'm already sunburnt. So beautiful. You don't get sunburn in the pub. That's my imagination. But it feels to me like these guys have grown since I saw them last. They were always big. Wow, they're looking big. So beautiful. Okay, so the water in this pond, KH is 5, I'm happy enough with that. GH is 12, I'm happy enough with that. pH is 7.7, I'm happy with that. Phosphate and nitrate. Nitrate's up a lot, so we're definitely due for a water change. And there's no ammonia or nitrite. Now, because these fish are so large, then it is the case that nitrate is likely to be an issue. Those marine pure balls in the bottom of the pond are an absolutely wonderful idea, but at this stage, keeping the pond clean, cleaning the filter regularly is really going to help, because right now the nitrate is over 100, and that is quite high. So I'd really rather it be lower. The only real way of doing that is keeping the pond clean and keeping up the water changes. But the other thing that's likely to make a significant impact is increasing the quality of the food, because this is pretty average food. This is just bulk food, I'm assuming. So these sorts of foods are just full of byproducts and terrestrial ingredients, chemicals. They really often have little to no aquatic ingredients at all. Whereas if you wanted the nitrate to be lower, not saying you actually have to, because these animals have been thriving for a long time and there's no reason to believe they won't continue to thrive. But if we did improve the quality of the food, then the fish will tend to produce less waste and you can feed less. So if you fed something like probiotics from New Life Spectrum, it is going to cost you more, but it's definitely worth considering, because the probiotic food is set at the absorption rate of the fish. It's also got the probiotic bacteria in it, which means when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo physically eats the poo. I don't know why I like this black goldfish so much, but I guess because he sort of reminds me of a black shark. It's a really nice fish. It's a black comet, but sort of reminds me of a black shark for some reason. What a cool fish. I never get sick of looking at fish. Since I've been here last, this filter has actually got really dirty. So what I was just doing was literally backwashing this filter. Now, we could make this filter considerably more efficient by, instead of using these rings, and what these rings do is just break ammonia into nitrate, or you could say something you don't want into something else that you don't want. So what we could consider doing is removing these out and then putting the marine pure, which are those balls, in here, because the marine pure will actually do a far better job. And the marine pure offers parallel denitrification, so therefore we're not getting as much nitrate. Now, when I first backwashed this filter, it was actually really bad. Now it's actually fairly good. So what I actually did was turn the filter around so the water's going out the back, and so it's not going into the pond. And yeah, that was definitely due for a clean. But when I did disturb it, quite a lot of dirt came out. So that media was very due for a clean. But because the owners are about to go away, I actually don't want to do this now. I'd rather do it while they're around, because that media would currently have bacteria in it and I don't want that bacteria missing. But for future reference, what we could consider doing is taking that out and putting that in, because that one, Marine Pure, is so much better than the media in there. And due to the parallel denitrification, due to the specific surface area to volume ratio of the media, you're you're going to get denitrating bacteria. So we're going to help get the nitrate down. We also want to try and remove any leaves and stuff out because we don't want them polluting the water. Definitely not right now while the nitrate's so high. To be aware of is what's called dirty weight of the filter media. So as mechanical medias, I would say polyfilter is the best, and I would say this one by JBL is the second best. So when you get a dirty filter and you actually bring the water out and weigh it, you can actually find out how much waste the filter has actually trapped. And this particular one traps absolutely massive amounts, and compared to normal air conditioning filter wool or some of the other filter wools, it actually can be quite amazing that some filter wools remove huge amounts more particles, particularly without clogging up, than others. So definitely something to experiment with. But once again, polyfilter is my favorite, and then the JBL is my second favorite. Just check the salt in here.
So 1 gram per litre is a beautiful amount of salt. Very good for the fish, and it will not affect your plant.
I'd be really interested to know.
Pump works, because if we turn that pump on,
Water will all come down through the waterfall.
we'd have to do that on a certain day, because all the shit is all going to end up in the pond.
Now this is a bit of a flashback. St. George Aquariums. This particular product was very popular back in the day, and St. George Aquariums is where I started working. So I worked at St. George Aquariums from 1994 to 1999, and this was a huge product back in those days. These days, Seachem has completely outstripped Wardley's, but yeah, that just brings back some memories for me. The amount of waste pulled out by this JBL filter wool is very impressive. So as often as we can, it's really our friend to give the pond a scoopy scoop. So anything that we can remove before it rots or breaks down, the better off we are. And there are various products such as Pristine from Spectrum, from Seachem, that are actually quite good at breaking down solid particles. So wonderful for keeping ponds and aquarium filters and so forth cleaner. Over time, hoses get very old and brittle. So while cleaning the filter, this hose came off. So instead of wrestling with it, I just replaced it for a nice new one. Now, after you do an aquarium clean or a pond clean, something I highly advise that you do is after the clean, go and clean the filters again, because I've disturbed everything, and quite often within a day or two after a clean, particularly if they haven't been cleaned for a while, the filters will clog up. So I'd really recommend doing a re-clean on the filter and a re-clean on the pre-filters within a day or two after a clean. So now I'm just cleaning the sponge filter. Whenever you clean a biological filter, you want to clean it in water from the fish tank or fish pond, not water from the tap, because you don't want the chlorine killing all the bacteria in the media. So you just give it a clean and put it back again. And then look at that chocolate milkshake. The more regularly that's done, the more we're able to control our nitrate levels. Now when you're refilling a pond or an aquarium, in a perfect world, you probably put the water into a bucket or something, treat the water, and then add the water to the aquarium or pond. If it's quite large, then it's just not a realistic thing to do. So what most people tend to do is fill up 5 centimeters, then you put in a full dose of a good quality water ager, then fill up another 5 centimeters and repeat until it's full. Netting stuff out of the pond is like the fun that just keeps giving, because I'll literally net out heaps of stuff, then I disturb everything, re-net again, and it just keeps coming out. So the more regularly you're netting stuff out, the better your pond or aquarium will be. Chemistry expert, could you tell me if you believe that water ager gets old? Now, as far as I understand, most chemicals, foods and so forth, it's oxygen that's your problem. So in most cases, as long as it's got a tight fitting lid, generally a lot of things won't change their state. It's oxygen that's your enemy. So I wonder how long water ager lasts. I've added this, but I've also added the prime as well, because I want to be sure. But I am interested if you are a technically minded person, because they do tell you that there's an expiry date. But a lot of the products like foods and stuff, they put expiry dates on them, but the expiry date is only valid from when you open it. So I'm not seeing an expiry date on this. So I have no reason to believe this is expired on the basis that it's shut. But anyway, if you're a chemistry expert, let me know your thoughts. Trust your aquarium to someone. This is a very good idea to do. If you portion out the food, you'll save yourself heaps of problems, because it's so common when you go away that someone will feed your fish, and with all good intentions, they'll either go, oh, they're still hungry, and they'll feed way more than you've told them to, Otherwise, also you can get people that you'd think are otherwise intelligent and civilized, but they'll go and just dump a whole lot of food in and then just say, oh, I'm not going to have to come back for the next week. But then when they come back, they've overfed and completely bombed the tank or the pond. So this is a great idea. Then you want to hide the food. That pump has now been turned on. Now, when you turn on a pump that has not been on for a period of time, you'll often get a bad smell, which is hydrogen sulfide. Yeah, I am getting it. So we just need to monitor these fish, because hydrogen sulfide is not a good thing. Actually, just to be safe, I might run downstairs and grab the polyfilter and just put it in here temporarily, because polyfilter is actually very effective at removing hydrogen sulfide, and at concentration, hydrogen sulfide can actually be poisonous. So I just put some polyfilter in the filter. Now I'm confident that this gas won't be a problem, because if we were very unlucky, then gas can actually affect the fish, even possibly kill them. Now, putting this waterfall on a timer would actually be excellent for the fish and stop any hydrogen sulfide building up in the future. The hydrogen sulfide grows where there's no oxygen. So I'd really love it if that pump was on a timer. So even if you don't want to listen to this waterfall, even if that came on for an hour or two a day, it's beautiful for aerating the pond, and it actually has a lot of other benefits too. Leaving it on all the time would be great, but if not practical, turning it on a timer for an hour or a couple of hours a day is actually very, very good for the fish. It'll oxygen saturate the water.